Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Nitrostorm here. Welcome to my character review to our latest addition, the Charged Attack Specialist Yanfei. Alright, let's start off by taking a look at her talents. Yanfei's normal attack combo shoots up to 3 fireballs of pyro damage, and every time she hits enemies with her normal attacks, she will gain a Scarlet Seal that lasts for 10 seconds, and you can have a maximum of 3 Scarlet Seals. The duration of these Scarlet Seals will essentially refresh every time Yanfei hits enemies with her normal attacks. Yanfei's stamina consumption will decrease by 15% for each Scarlet Seal in possession. This affects any action that uses stamina, such as charged attacks and sprinting. Yanfei's charged attack will consume stamina as well as all Scarlet Seals currently in possession before dealing AoE pyro damage to opponents. The AoE and damage of this charged attack will increase according to the number of consumed Scarlet Seals. Her plunge, however, isn't anything special and will simply deal pyro damage to surrounding enemies upon impact. Yanfei's elemental skill, the Signed Edict, will simply deal AoE pyro damage to enemies in front, as well as providing Yanfei the maximum number of Scarlet Seals. Yanfei's Elemental Burst, Done Deal, will trigger a spray of intense flames that will rush at nearby opponents, each dealing AoE pyro damage, as well as granting Yanfei the maximum number of Scarlet Seals and applying her own personal buff, Brilliance. Brilliance have these following effects. It will grant Yanfei a Scarlet Seal at fixed intervals, as well as increasing the damage dealt by her charged attacks. Unfortunately, the effects of Brilliance will end if Yanfei leaves the field or falls in battle. Yanfei's first passive talent, Proviso, will increase Yanfei's pyro damage bonus by 5% for every consumed Scarlet Seal upon using a charged attack. This effect will last for 6 seconds and will be dispelled when another charge attack is used during the effect's duration. But not to worry, if you always consume Scarlet Seals when you use charge attacks, your increased pyro damage bonus essentially will stay, and the duration will essentially just refresh. Yanfei's second passive talent, Blazing Eye, when Yanfei's charge attack deals critical hits, she will deal an additional instance of AoE pyro damage equal to 80% of her attack. This damage counts as charged attack damage. Yanfei's natural talent, Encyclopedic Expertise, will display the locations of nearby resources unique to Liyue on the minimap. Yanfei's first constellation, The Law Knows No Kindness, will additionally reduce the stamina cost of her charge attacks by 10% for each existing Scarlet Seal, as well as increasing the resistance against interruption during the release of her charge attacks. Yanfei's second constellation, Rite of Final Interpretation, will increase her charged attack crit rate by 20% against enemies below 50% HP. Yanfei's third constellation, Samadhi Fire Forged, will increase the level of her elemental skill, Signed Edict, by 3. Yanfei's fourth constellation, Supreme Amnesty, when done deal, her elemental burst is used, it will create a shield that absorbs up to 45% of Yanfei's max HP for 15 seconds, and this shield will absorb pyro damage 250% more effectively. Yanfei's fifth constellation, Abiding Affidavit, will increase the level of Done Deal, her elemental burst, by 3. And last but not least, her final constellation, Extra Claws, will increase the maximum number of Scarlet Seals by 1, meaning the maximum number is now 4. Alright, so now that we've got through the basics, it's time to see Yanfei in action. And I'll show you guys how I would use Yanfei. So, without further ado, the first thing I would do is use my E to get max stacks, and then use that down. Afterwards, using my elemental burst to start charge attack spamming. So I recommend doing one normal before doing one charge to be at maximum stacks every time. And then you can use your E to do some extra charge as well. And then again do one of this, charge, normal attack. So as you can see there, most of the time you will be using your charged attacks with the help of your E during the burst to provide some extra energy as well as acquiring some extra scarlets. Now it's time for my quick PowerPoint presentation on recommended characters for when you're trying to create a team composition for Yanfei. So here are my list, just to give you a good / rough idea on how to build around Yanfei. So we have Mona and Xingqiu for persistent Hydra Affliction for Vaporize comps, as well as damage support. We have Zhongli for that big shield, essentially helping us by being less susceptible to interrupts when using our charge attack, because there is a slight delay before using it. Of course, if you have her first constellation, then you may not need the shield, but do keep in mind the damage that you will be taking. Now next, we have Ganyu and Leona for persistent cryo affliction for melt compositions, as well as damage support. And for an added bonus, Leona can also provide shield support. And last but not least, for our recommended characters, we have our boy Bennett for Pyro Resonance, as well as his big attack buff. Now, of course, this isn't the end of the world if you do not have these recommended characters, because I do have a list of notable characters. So these characters will be able to provide some support for Yanfei when building around her and creating compositions. However, they just have less synergy compared to our recommended characters, as they may have some minor setbacks or they're not as effective as the list of recommended characters. So for example, let's take Chi-Chi and Kaya. So Chi-Chi's elemental skill will have persistent cryo damage and infliction, and Kaya's elemental burst also has the same persistent cryo damage and cryo affliction. However, due to the nature of their skill and burst, Yanfei would need to be up close to the enemy in order to inflict cryo to apply melt with her charged attacks. For artifact sets, I don't have that many recommendations, but I'll just list them anyway. So of course we have the Crimson Witch set for that increased pyro damage, as well as the increasing the vaporizer melt. The Lava Walker set, if you can't get a good witch set, for the 35% increased damage against opponents affected by pyro, but not very useful when trying to apply melt and vaporize. Next we have Retracing Bolide for that 40% increase additional in charge attack damage. So this has good synergy with Constellation 4 Yanfei, as using her elemental burst will provide a shield, but also if you use her with someone that creates shields such as Leona and Zhongli, then this set will also be useful. Last but not least, we have the Wanderer's Trope set for my list of recommendations for artifact sets, as the 2-piece set will increase elemental mastery by 80, which is essentially 15% increased damage for vaporize and melt, as well as the 4-piece set, which increases charge attack damage by 35% if the character uses a catalyst or a bow, which is good for Yanfei. In any case, thank you guys so much for watching my review video. Stay tuned for next video. I think I will be creating a recommended artifact set slash the best artifact set for Yanfei. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. Hope you guys found this useful. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video.